Well, hello, hello, hello. It is Tishan here. I go by Nine Coins here on YouTube, and thank you for tuning in for another video. A couple of videos back, I talked a little bit about some decks that I wanted to work with in the fall, and this was one of them. Um, this is the Naturescapes Tarot. Um, uh, and oh my gosh, I always do this. I will list the creator in uh, in the description below. I know that she goes by Queen of Wands without the D on I and on Instagram, and this is one of her print on demand decks from NPC. I believe she's also created the Tarot of Archetypes, which is really cool. I do not have that one yet, but when I came across this deck, the Naturescapes Tarot, when I first saw it, I was really just blown away at the use of landscape photography to capture um, the archetypal significance of the tarot. So, this video is probably going to be a walkthrough. It's been a while since I've done a full walkthrough. My last one was Manzel. So, this is probably going to be a talky one where I'm just going to look through each card and just speak what's on my mind when it comes to each card. I have been working with this, so I did have to put it back in order so I can do this, but I just felt like I don't know. I felt like I wanted to do it, okay? um so thank you again for tuning in. Make yourself comfortable. It's probably going to be a long one. um and also too, I acknowledge that, this is not a new deck. It's been out for a couple years. I know that several people have already had it, but I just want to talk through it for myself, and give my own thoughts on what I'm viewing and the way that I'm interpreting the cards. Trying to make sure it's in frame. There we go. And so, without further ado, let's get started on discussing the Naturescapes Tarot. So, of course, I just love I loved how, like, it's just like if you find, you can find the fact that she found images that captured the at least the major arcana just perfectly. I was just like, wow, like what an intense amount of time and study that went into this. But yeah, full card, you have your symbolism here with the cliff and the water, and all that is there waiting is you to jump off the cliff. I love that. Here we have the magician, and captured here is the aurora borealis, which I think really you get a sense of the magic and the mysticism here with this card, which I think is amazing. Like, it's just so perfect. It really is perfect. The high priestess here at night under the moon. The empress with just the lush greenery, the rolling hills. There's just so much health and life and vibrancy in this card, which I think captures empress energy very well. The emperor, structured and maybe rigid, hierarchical, right, with the single steeped mountain here, even crossing into or over the clouds. The Hierophant. I love this Hierophant. I took a similar picture of a tree it's not this tree, but the branches are thick and the trunk is thick, and you can tell that the roots go deep. This is a wisdom tree here. This is a tree that has been through some things and has a lot to teach you. So I love that this is the Hierophant. Oh, the lovers. You'll see the um in one of the suits, I think the cups, where you're gonna have your pinks and your corals represented for it with emotion. So I love that that's captured here. I love that there's maybe some sense of angelic presence here at the top, um, in the sky and the clouds, and also here you see almost like a pair of each of the. It looks like maybe is it like a lavender? Um, type of flower bushes kind of going down in the single path and they meet right here at the horizon. So I just love that this is the lovers card. The chariot. Oh, just the movement of the rushing water down the stream or down the river. It is a little hard to tell if we are looking up close or if we're looking really far away because the rocks look so big, but they can also be small. And so I don't know. I think that choice of perspective is very interesting for the chariot card. A card about movement, a card about vision, really. Strength. I think when I look at this card, at first my mind was going to the mountainous landscape in the back, but I'm also looking at these man-made structures here at the front and the work it took to tame, quote unquote, tame the landscape here. So I love that this is the stray card. See, it just all just kind of works so well. The hermit here, I imagine placing myself just in the middle of the forest and just like getting a glimpse of this light source here. It's almost similar to the hermit's lantern, which I love. Wheel of Fortune really playing on light and reflectiveness and forming through. I don't know if this is probably an archway more so than a bridge, but forming that circle here through the reflection in the water, which I think is really great. Justice. I like to like visually. It looks like this is the thing that holds the two, like the scales. So if you think of the like you know how like if you had the scale one here, and there's this thing that connects them both or holds them both up. That's kind of what visually comes to mind with this justice card. But also with the bridge, there's a connectivity here, an integration. If you think of justice, the integration of both the head and also the heart. And so you're connecting those two meanings here. And of course, the rushing water down the middle, there's a sense of equilibrium, a sense of equality, and maybe some separation as well. The hanged one. Oh, so clearly we're looking overhead at the tops of these trees. It's really cool. Death. This reminds me of like maybe a little bit of some biblical imagery here. Um, but I love that, you know, when you think about death and you think about the thing that people say when they, you know, maybe um, had come across death and came back to life and they said they saw a bright white light. That's what that kind of reminds me of. And that, yes, like this is a gentle death card, right? This is not something that's meant to be scary, but it's something that is, and yes, you do have some shadow here, but the fact that death represent, or for me, death represents this light coming down really says that it's something that maybe should be consider that it should be something to be welcomed as opposed to something feared, and that will bring you out of this shadow situation that we have going on over here. Oh, temperance. I don't have much to say about this imagery other than it's so beautiful, and it just seems like everything is kind of just at a flow. The clouds are at a flow. The water here is at a flow. This reminds me, for some reason, of that little dip that in which the original temperance card and the Rider Waite Smith. You'll see the foot of the angel kind of dipping their foot like right there. So they have to step down a little lower to get into the water. So that right there reminds me of that particular imagery, but it's an overall beautiful card. The devil. At first glance, I was like, yeah, this could look like some kind of reimagined hell. But also, too, the jaggedness is really something to be remarked upon. This is not a comfortable space. This is definitely not a space that you want to be in. The tower. This is probably one of the less nuanced images in this deck, and that we've seen lightning representation in for representing the tower for a few centuries now, and so. But I just love that it's been replicated here in this landscape imagery, and like this is a really striking image of a lightning bolt, which we. It's a wonder that I've rarely seen in my real life, which is cool. Oh, and also too, it's striking these buildings here or these structures. The star have a beautiful sense of the spatial landscape up above, the cosmos. Like I imagine being like in the middle of like a farm field or something, and just looking up at the sky at night and hearing nothing but maybe crickets or something or little owls, and then just looking at all the constellations. The moon, very mystical, a little haunting. The fact that we don't see the entirety of the actual moon itself, I think, even says a lot to what's hidden, what's not known yet. This beautiful light filling sun. And also, you have here a path that's really well lit. It's a grassy path, but there's definitely a way through. Like it's easy, it's light, it's lush, it's warm. We have your judgment. So it's a little sense of like foreboding, but also um, there's some hope here with the light. I can almost imagine the angel coming out right there. And I think this is over water. It's really cool. The world. So I love this world card because it encompasses basically every aspect that we've seen so far in the major arcana. You have your water, you have your greenery, you have your mountain, you have your sky. You know, so it's really a holistic view of everything that makes up natural our natural world. Ace of Wands, the sunrise over this beach, the warmth here. Two of Wands, there's a possibility. Here you have, in the foreground, you have this manicured lawn and grass. This, for me, represents a safetiness. And then out there, it looks a little more unknown, a little more um, risky. There's water there. There's a change in the landscape when you go further out. And so I think that really encapsulates kind of the considerations that you take in the Two of Wands. The Three of Wands, and you're off. You're setting sail out into the world. Love it. Four of Wands. Imagine having a wedding or something in this beautiful cherry blossom tree. Just love it. Now, if it were two cherry blossom trees, that would be kind of cool. Five of Wands. It was kind of sad to see this forest fire card, but I definitely think that when we think of Five of Wands in terms of conflicts, of challenge, that it can be an appropriate card when you think about the term that we use colloquially, putting out a fire, means solving a problem fast. That's kind of what comes to mind with this card. Six of Wands. So we're in autumn here with the leaves, and so Six of Wands is that kind of that's that confidence boosting card, a card that invites you or someone to be celebrated, to be honored. It's an ego boosting card, and so you do have this, the path is made way, and then you have here in the background this single tree that's the center stage of the frame. Ooh, Seven of Wands. This reminds me of like you're about to go into a dark forest. Maybe you're on a mission. Maybe you're going, you know, to save the princess or something. I don't know. And your guard has to be up when you enter this forest. Something is waiting for you in here, and you have to be alert. You have to be ready. And yes, you are uh, on the defensive. That's kind of what it brings up too. But you do still have this lit path. So there is a way through the circumstances. Yeah. Eight of Wands. Have our birds here taking flight. Everything's good because it's all nice and green. A great little Eight of Wands. Nine of Wands. Ugh, so I can just feel from here the pressure, the the mental pressure of walking through these, I don't know, dunescapes. Like what would you, I don't know exactly what this type of terrain would be called. Comment below if you know. But imagine just trying to squeeze through here. Um, you know that there's another side to this, right? You know that there's a way through. It just feels really tight and really constricting right now, and a little overwhelming. And you're 10 of Wands. So you're at the top here. This landscape is just so kind of jagged. Imagine trying to climb this. Yes, you're at the top, but you are exhausted. And I'm wondering if a person would be represented by this image here amongst all of this landscape in the background. Page of Wands. You have your moon here. This is almost like a dawning, either a dawn or a dusk. Maybe a dawn. Knight of Wands. So here we have, and I think we'll see this throughout the knights. They're represented by very like upward pointed, jagged terrain. And you can definitely see here there is an aggressive element to this Knight of Wands. Queen of Wands. So we're back with the queens or feminine presenting ideals, being represented by greenery. And there's a lot of warmth here. And it's populous. So this is one of the few times where we see elements of, I mean, there's a couple and a couple cards back, but elements of humanity here. King of Wands. This is not your smooth terrain. It's rough, it's jagged, but it's almost like, you know how like how they were, how when you were in school and they talked about how the earth was formed and something about tectonic plates moving and shifting. This kind of reminds me of this process here of seeing the earth move and shift land masses in real time, which I think is really good King of Wands representation if we were to see it that way. Ace of Cups, this lovely rushing water. So we're into our water here. Let's see. Two of Cups. So you see again a couple more humans on this pier, um, leading out into the horizon towards this warmth, towards the sun. It's like a joining. So this this Three of Cups card reminds me of vacation. So imagine going off to like an exotic island with your friends or with your partner or partners, and just having a blast and just relaxing and just looking beautiful and just like enjoying the clear tropical waters. This is what this reminds me of. Take me back, take me back. Four of Cups. Four of Cups. Mm, just this one like stony platform in the middle of the water. It's definitely reminiscent of the idea that you are on this mass and you're surrounded by water, but it's almost like you don't realize it, or maybe you don't see the value of the water that is there. And maybe you have a negative point of view about being surrounded by the water because you're this one lone landmass in between, in among it all, amongst it all. What a beautiful representation of the Five of Cups. The grayness is giving bleak, it's giving despair, it's giving sadness. This rainbow, of course, as we know, is giving hope. And I this might be maybe one of my, if not the like favorite um, card in this deck. Six of Cups with this beautiful like cabin or cottage thing going on in the back, this luscious water. It reminds me of like being off grid in the woods, being close to nature, forging your own home, cultivating your own sense of home and place here. I forgot to mention that, of course, there's a lot of water in the suit, and which of course makes sense. Seven of Cups. So, with choice, you have your twists and your turns. How do you navigate? Is there just one path to take? Do like it's, yeah, yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. Now, this Eight of Cups was interesting to me at first. You're in between two kind of cliff sides, right? And at first I thought, so are we to imagine ourselves making our way through here and going away? But no, I think after some reflection, it's more so that there's a divide here. So if you are on one side and whatever situation or individuals that you're parting from are on this side, it just denotes that separation between you and those things or those people. Nine of Cups. It's almost like this land has everything you need. Um, Green grass, pure water, to really like seems like a really healthy ecosystem here. Your Ten of Cups. It's giving as above, so below. It's giving fullness. Here we have again with the reflection, some circularity here, similar to the Wheel of Fortune. Just amazing. How do we get these photographs? Like, where do I need to go to take photographs like these? Jeez. And what time of year? Page of Cups. Not much to say here. Beautiful lake. Very still water as well. Knight of Cups. So here you have your pinkish coral here. It almost reminds me of like a rose and just the light that it's casting out in this mountainous landscape is giving some softness to this card, which I think could be appropriate as well. The Queen of Cups represented by this smooth um, representation of a waterfall, just an abundance. That's what it's giving me, like an abundance of this water element. And of course, we have here with a lot of your queens and feminine aspects in this deck, lush greenery. King of Cups, you have this balance of water, trees, and yes, you still have your mountainous, so you still have that hierarchical nature. You still know who's the king of this suit, but there's a fullness here. And again, with the lake being the chosen water element in this card, there's a stillness here, a quietness here. Ace of Swords. So I thought this was interesting, but I think it makes sense. Um, Ace of Swords here, you're going to get a lot of wintry looking landscapes in this deck. Um, to my knowledge, I think winter is typically associated in the Pentacles. Um, but I think, it makes sense if we think about swords. Swords is just a harsh suit, it's harsh. There's a lot of not so good feeling cards in the suit. So for me, in the context of this deck and what it's trying to do, it makes sense that, winter would be uh, depicted here. So just making that note. Two of Swords, you have these two trees denoting a Tunis here. Also, the path isn't quite clear in this scene either. Three of Swords. And I think what I'm finding is that there's a lot of emphasis on trees in this suit with this deck. So, whereas the other suits in the Major Arcana, you have more zoomed out landscape images, with the Sword suit, we're seeing a little bit closer up. So, Three of Swords, you have these barren trees, like there's just nothing left. It is a sad suit. And also, the closeness is for me reads as the intensity, how close these emotions, how close this grief is. Four of Swords. This scene looks really quiet, peaceful. It's telling me to like go build a fire. It's about to be night. Go build a fire and lay your butt down somewhere. That's what this is telling me. This Five of Swords is interesting. I'm still like kind of, I don't have the surest um, way of interpreting this card through the imagery. Um, I'm thinking of the waves, you know, crashing up against the shoreline. There's no smoothness here with the shoreline. Um, there's an offensiveness with these waves, a hitting up against, a pushing up against kind of energy. Absolutely love the Six of Swords. Um, it's a leaving of a situation, it's a resolve here. And there is an element of risk in this card. You've made the decision to move on, to go. You don't know exactly where this decision is going to take you, but you're making this decision anyway. You're taking this action anyway. Seven of Swords. So this is similar to our Hanged One and the perspective. I almost like to think of it as like if you were in a parachute or something, or if you were flying and you were trying to find a good place to land, the thought process in trying to find the best way to navigate this landscape so that you can get out of the sky and land. So it could be that, or I could be completely wrong, which is 100% a possibility. Eight of Swords. These trees look really tall and overwhelming. So imagine navigating the forest. Have you seen The Hobbit? And if you've seen The Hobbit, the new one that's not that good, where they're going through, was it Mirkwood? Those trees were insanely huge. This is what this reminds me of, and how intimidating it was and is to navigate a forest like this. But at the same time, there's a path, there's a way through. But it's intimidating. You don't want to go through. Nine of Swords. I just think it's so interesting. Like, is this photo manipulation, or are these trees really just oranged? Are they autumny leaves? Are they browning? And then there's also some and then there's also some snow, um, you know, dusted atop on top of them. Um, if it is photo manipulation, it really does speak to the dream space, to the imaginative space, and this separation here may also lend itself to a division of like what we know versus what we imagine. And this also could represent an unknown and uncertainty. Ten of Swords, full blown blizzard to me, full blown winter. There's nothing, you better be inside. And there's really nothing you can do except wait it out and see what happens after the storm. That's kind of what I'm getting. Page of Swords. So we're back to our trees here. This evergreen. Just a great, yeah. Knights, once again represented by jagged, pointed, harsh looking land masses. And the fact that it's so high above everything else gives you a sense of what that Knight of Swords is all about. I love the pinkness with this Queen of Swords. You still have your greenery, although it is evergreens. The human structures here, the houses, I think, says a lot to a certain preparedness or craftiness, I think, maybe. The King of Swords. I love the little mushroom and the Ace of Pentacles. I don't know why I just baby talked the mushroom, but there you go. Ace of Pentacles. So here where Pentacles is typically winter, um, here it looks not winter. It looks kind of like, I don't know, not winter. uh, so you have your Two of Pentacles giving us some balance here with the waterfalls kind of drifting into the stream. So it's like almost a leveling out of energies there. Three of Pentacles. So with me, with Three of Pentacles, oops, it's slippy. I tend to see it as like a collaboration, a collaborative card, an industrious card, and in this sense, I'm getting more industriousness. Just the man-made path through the forest, I think, um, speaks to me to that regard. Maybe I have the Four of Pentacles, and I think it's just such an interesting card because um, these trees are beautiful, exotic trees and flora and plant life, but it's all kind of crammed within this what do you call it? Greenhouse maybe. If you think about your state, like I know that I used to live in DC, and we have the U.S. Botanical Gardens, just keeping all of this wonderful richness within this structure, I think is appropriate for me as far as relating to the meaning of the Four of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles. There's kind of like a sense that these trees are falling apart, they're dying. There's a mist that for me throughout this deck has been giving, this fog has been giving uncertainty, lack of clarity. But there's still green here. There's still possibility to navigate whatever the situation that you're in is. Sorry. Your Six of Pentacles here. Oh, this is a card that just makes navigating this beautiful but rough landscape just a little bit easier. Just this leveled bridge makes makes this beautiful wildlife more accessible, which I think speaks to the energy of the Six of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles waiting for this fruit to grow and to blossom. And again, this is there's a difference with this card compared to most of the cards in the deck is where, this is really zoomed in here. But I think it's so appropriate because if you are a gardener or a planter, I mean, you got to fix it on the details in order to make sure that what you've planted will will grow. Eight of Pentacles. I love this Eight of Pentacles. It's giving it's giving skill. It's giving craft. It's giving excellence. It's giving mastery with how this landscape was manipulated. Oh, Nine of Pentacles. Oh, one of my favorite cards, of course. Just want to hop into a canoe and row down the river or the stream or the lake. Everything is good, all is well. Maybe we'll take a couple bottles of wine with us and enjoy this beautiful greenery. Your Ten of Pentacles with your traditional RWS symbolism. Well, that would have been in the Ten of Cups, but I think it should go in the Ten of Pentacles too. And just a really good sense of like fullness of or what has come to bear. page, we have our trees again. I might need to look back at all the pages, but I have a sense that, hold on, let me bring this card back, that all of the pages are either captured at dusk or dawn, and I can't tell which is which. That's bothering me, but I think there may be some significance there. If it's dawn, it would make sense if it was dawn because pages being the younger of the courts, dawn represents the beginning. So yeah, the beginning of the day. Yeah, Knight of Pentacles. Look at all this work has wrought. So you have all of this mastery of the land, and it's almost like when you look at the background, imagine what was here before this Knight of Pentacles came. Imagine all the wilderness, all the beautiful wilderness, but imagine all of the untamed wilderness that was in the foreground before the Pentacles came and turned it into this. Queen of Pentacles. This big, lush mountain. Hmm. I'm sorry, I was just looking at the ridges and how like they're not jagged going up the mountain. They look very smooth. I don't know if you can see those curvatures there. Hold on, let me hold this up. Very smooth. This feels like a life-giving mountain. This feels like a mountain that houses a lot of creatures and has a vast ecosystem. And you can see through this kind of forest here below that this mountain perhaps plays a very important role in the landscape here. And your King of Pentacles. Beautiful. And we do have some greenery in this King of Pentacles, which is what we've kind of rarely seen, I think, in the king suits. The kings throughout the suits, which is really good because green represents that bounty, right? The water is beautiful here, but there's still a little bit of chill up at the mountaintop. Oh wow! See, I'm gonna try something new. So I'm gonna just do a couple shuffles, and I just want to see, or I want to have on camera just what it would look like to just do a 3-card spread. So, just want to see what these landscapes look like. NPC cardstock is just my favorite. A lot of people don't like thin cardstock, but it's thin, but it's sturdy. Like you can tell that it's good. It'll hold. Like you can always tell good thin cardstock from bad thin cardstock. Ruffles perfectly. Sorry, I'm just trying to get it all. That. Cut it. All right. Wow. So if we did a 3-card challenge spread is what I'm calling it, where you have your situation, your obstacle, um, and what can help. There's some ambition definitely here. there's a want or a desire to forge ahead, to excel, to move up. Maybe it's a position at work, or maybe it's a personal creative goal you have. But of course, with the Eight of Swords in the challenge position presents a sense of there's something that's within you that's holding you back. It could be maybe it's an imposter syndrome. Maybe you don't think you have what it takes. Maybe you think you need more training, or you need a certain certification, or a certain relationship with networking with a supervisor, a boss, or an important person. Something you feel is holding you back that maybe it's not real. Maybe it's all in your head, and you're giving yourself a level of anxiety that's just not necessary. And so when the situation with the judgment card being in what can help is you really tapping into that part of yourself that believes in yourself, your skills, your gifts, and the part of yourself that gives you the courage to forge ahead anyway. I just love this. So I think that I'm just so excited that this is going to be one of the decks that I work with in the fall. I can already tell that this is going to be so helpful for my mental health and well being. Even if I'm not pulling a card to do a reading for myself, even just the act of looking through um, this deck, looking at the landscapes is it's like so peaceful. Especially in the winter, the fall and the winter, as we're losing sunlight gradually. Um, and seasonal affective disorder is really real for a lot of people, including myself. That just being having some access to these wonderful images is going to be really, really key. Really key. I love it. And I'm slowly kind of falling in love with photography and tarot as well. Anyway, I will close this video out now, and I'll leave it here. But I want to know, if you have this deck, tell me how you feel about it. If you want this deck, what are your thoughts on what you saw, on my interpretations? Like I said, this is what I interpret. It's not the law. There's no guidebook for this deck. It is what it is. So I'm so curious to see how other people find meaning in the images in this cards. I really am. So let me know. If you liked what you saw, just feel free to leave a comment or a like or subscribe if you haven't done so already. And with that being said, I'll leave it here, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye bye.